I feel like a lot of people are forgetting how talented of a player Blake Griffin is. This is a guy that averaged 25 points per game, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 46 from the field, and also 36 from the three-point line with the Detroit Pistons this past season. He was finally healthy and showed when he's healthy, he's one of the top big men in the NBA. And from a purely a talent perspective, if we're just talking about pure skill, other than Anthony Davis, there's nobody that's as talented as Blake Griffin when it comes to scoring at all three levels, when it comes to handle the basketball, and when it comes to be able to initiate your offense with that player. Anthony Davis, possibly I would say Jokic, but for a purely talented perspective, if we're just looking at guys who can do everything on the court, Blake Griffin is in the top three for his big man in that category. And I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for reinventing himself and reinventing his game. This guy came in the NBA as a freak of nature, a dunker, super athletic. But over the course of his time in his career in the NBA, he's really improved and developed his game. And that's what you want to see with guys in the league. He didn't let his athleticism once it stopped due to the injuries and stuff like that, even though he's still athletic, still one of the most athletic big men in the game. He's not as athletic in his prime, but he worked on his game. He improved each and every season. And now we're seeing a complete Blake Griffin, a complete package, which he is. He's an all-around power forward. There's nothing on the court Blake Griffin can't do. And that's why I say I feel like people unappreciate him. I feel like people have forgot about his talents. I feel like if you're a fringe contender and you're looking to get over the hump, I will go and try to make a call to try to get Blake Griffin to get your team from being a fringe contender, a team that's probably going to get knocked out in the second round, first or second round, to possibly competing for Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals or possibly a championship. He is that good. He is that type of player, especially when he is healthy. In this past season, he's proved that when he is healthy, he is still a elite big man in this game. And I would say it's not five big men in the NBA that's better than Blake Griffin if you do the eye test. We're not looking at stats. We're not looking at the team they play on, because we know situations, players are in different situations that may make them seem like they're better than another player. But if we're talking about the eye test, we're talking about looking at purely skill. Blake Griffin is definitely a top 5 big man in the game. And Blake Griffin, like I said, has been it's become underrated. This was his best season in the NBA. I know he made the All NBA third team, but this was his best season. This past season was his best season in the league as a pro. And nobody really talked about Blake Griffin. I was hoping the Portland Trailblazers was going to go out and make a move, because you could have had opportunity to pair him with CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. You become a fridge contender, a team that's going to get to the second round and maybe to the Western Conference Finals, depending on possibly the seeding in the matchup like they did this past season, to a legitimate contender where teams will actually fear you, because they couldn't guard Damian Lillard, they couldn't guard CJ McCollum, and now you have a wing player that can play the 3 and the 4 position, a big man, an all-around big man, where you can't double Damian Lillard, you can't double CJ McCollum, because you got to worry about Blake Griffin. I was hoping they were going to do that, but of course the Portland Trailblazers really aren't serious about winning their championship. They went out and signed Hassan Whiteside, a dude that hasn't been interested in playing since he earned his big contract with the Miami Heat. So, like I said, a French contender, please go out and trade for Blake Griffin, because Blake Griffin's not going to ask for a trade. And the Andre Drummond and the Blake Griffin matchup, and not matchup, the pairing of those two is not really working. And basically, the Detroit Pistons are just trying to make it to the playoffs. But I don't feel like Blake Griffin should be wasting his prime and wasting his talent playing with a team that's just going to be content with trying to compete for a 6th to 8th seed each and every season. And once again, we're talking about purely skilled. Other than Anthony Davis, there's no other big man in the NBA that I will want to have on my team other than Blake Griffin.